Okay, so we are back again. This is Pokkén Tournament DX for the Nintendo Switch. For today's guide, we're going to be learning the character Scizor. This is a power type character. I think that among all of the power type characters in the game, Scizor is probably the most agile. I guess number 2 would be Garchomp, but I'm pretty sure Scizor is probably the most agile of them. For the opponent, we're going to go with let's see, I would use Sceptile, but I think Pikachu has some moves that I can better demonstrate against. Supports don't matter here. No, actually, supports do matter in this case. Not for me, but for my opponent. And then we'll go to this stage because it's green and it complements Scizor's red coloring. Alright, now that I have properly changed my name, let's see. Scizor is, I think number 1 is that Scizor is a very flashy character. You'll probably like playing him because he's plenty flashy. I think I would call Scizor a whiff punisher, and he's got some tools that help him against zoners. He's got some tools that make it so that he has a much easier time dealing with zoners compared to other characters. Just in his overall kit, his kit as well as his stances and some of his own mechanics. The first thing I will talk about is I think his dash, because this is going to be a very helpful tool for you. I think let's see, if I were to relate Scizor to something, I would call him, well, when I initially saw Scizor for the first time, I thought he was like a Gundam. Okay, I said this character plays like what you might think a Gundam, might play at, like in a fighting game. Scizor is dash, whereas other characters can only dash and then stop and then dash again and then stop and then dash again, and they can move in any of the 4 directions. Scizor can, so long as he holds a button in any direction, once he starts a dash, he can continuously dash over and over and over and over. If you dash from side to side, he will continuously home in on his opponent. And if you hold the forward dash, this is very important. If you hold the forward dash, he goes into this, well, how to describe this? It's it's just like a constant dash, but this constant dash gets rid of weak projectiles. Okay, so I'll demonstrate this with Pikachu. Okay, Pikachu here has a set of projectiles that he has there's a short press version of it, and there's a long press version of it. And different versions of this move have different projectile strengths. Okay, Scizor can dash through the weaker version of the skill, but not the stronger version. So this is the weaker version of the skill. Normally, this is what Scizor looks like when he gets hit by these. That was the weaker one, and that's the stronger one. But we're able to dash through the weaker one. If you try to dash through the larger one, you're going to end up getting hit. Okay, so he can only go through certain projectiles that have certain strengths. But once you're in front of your opponent, you can do whatever it is that you like to them. What I would recommend is that once you are in front of your opponent, you do not get in front of them and then block. Okay, I want you to look at the bottom right corner of the screen where all of the button inputs show up, and I want you to look at how quickly I press the R button after I stop dashing versus how long it takes Scizor to actually stop his forward dash and then block. Okay, so that's that. I'll do it one more time, and I'll do it a third time. Now notice how long it takes for him to stop and then block after I've done the input for the block button versus dashing up and going straight into an attack. Okay, now that's Metal Claw, and then this is U-turn. It's pretty much instant. Or you could even, you could dash up to them and then jump away, and just look how quickly it took for me to just how quickly he responded and went into a jump, just as soon as I did the input for it. almost any option is better, or like you can even just like dash away or off to the side or something. Like any input honestly is better than just going up to your opponent and then blocking. Okay, you could also, you know, go up to your opponent and then go into a counter. Okay, I'll also talk about his counter. His counter is also a very good counter, but you could go up, counter to your opponent, and then cancel away from them. But just about anything is better than running up to your opponent and then blocking, because that totally kills whatever momentum you had going by catching your opponent off guard by dashing through whatever projectile they tried to hit you with. The second thing, I guess, is that's kind of unique to Scizor, is that Scizor is the only character in the game, I think it might be Aegislash as well, but I think Scizor is the only character in the game who's able to move around during his counter. Okay, he can move side to side, he can move forward and backward, he can move around when he does it. So he can cancel and, you know, go back into, you know, another counter. All right, like so. There's a drawback to it. I'll let you guys know what the drawback is when we get into duel phase. But that's Scizor. Like I said, a lot of his tools are good for dealing with zoners. Depending on what kind of projectiles they have. Some characters have very strong projectiles, and Scizor's weak attacks won't be able to go through them. So his weak attacks, his standing weak attack is a favorite. He lays down staples. Okay, there's like these high energy, you know, 1,000 degree staples, you know, kind of deal. But these sit on the ground for a little while before disappearing. They sit on the ground. You can, you know, play around them if you'd like. Your opponent can run into them and get hit by them. They can get hit by every one of these staples actually, or they can get hit by them partially. This if you hit somebody with it, you can go into you know, you can go into an attack. That's his pursuit attack, or you can go into you know, one of his special attacks. Well, maybe not that one, because that's not the one you want. But you can go into primarily Metal Claw. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's a trap. You can lay it on the ground. You can play it around it according to however it is that you like. His side weak attack buttons. Let's see. I think his side weak attack, his back weak attack, and his aerial weak attack, his jumping weak attack, all have short press and long press versions. For his side weak attack, he throws out a saw blade. The saw blade will get rid of some projectiles. I don't know if it. Let me see if it gets rid of Pikachu's. Let's see. The other character I would have tried this with would have been Braixen, because I know for sure that his attacks can get rid of Braixen's. Let's see if that does something to Pikachu. Nope, Pikachu projectiles are too strong, so that won't work on Pikachu. What we'll do is we'll switch to Braixen. Okay, now that we're here with Braixen makes for a much easier opponent to bully. Braixen has, like I said, among the zoners, I think Braixen has the weakest projectiles. So we'll use that and see what happens. So yeah, so Scizor can throw out this saw blade, and depending on the opponent's projectiles, he can stuff out those you know, weaker projectiles of his opponents. If you tap it once, he throws out one saw blade. If you tap it twice, he throws out two saw blades. I think the two saw blades kind of act similar to Braixen's enhanced Psybeam, where the first saw blade cancels out the opponent's attack, and that frees up the second saw blade to keep moving and hit your opponent. Okay, but that this is, you know, like I said, single press. This is double press. If you long press the button, okay, he throws out a giant I guess claw fireball thing, and this one eats a lot of projectiles. When it hits your opponent, it knocks them into the air. Usually it knocks them into the air long enough for you to be able to hit them with a pursuit attack and shift phases on them. Let's see, and that's all it does. You can move it to left, you can move it to right. Scizor is open a little bit after the attack, so make sure that you use it when your opponent is kind of stationary. Otherwise, your opponent will be able to strafe you and attack you before you have a chance to land and respond. You know, so for example, I'm going to use the move, and I'm going to hold the shield button, And if you look at the bottom right, when I press the R button, you know just how long it takes for me to bring that shield back up after using the bigger claw. Okay, so you should be wary of that. His forward weak attack is, it's not listed, but I feel like this is Bug Buzz. Okay, because if you look at it, he attacks using, I guess, sound waves. Okay, you do this and it causes a phase shift. That's all it does. Okay, I have to double check if it puts him into the air or not. But this is it. And you can chain this out of his side attack. Man, yeah, you can chain this out of his side attacks, but you have to be relatively close to your opponent in order for it to actually do something. Otherwise, you would be too far away in order for it to connect. You can also do it out of staples. Okay, but that's what it looks like. It causes a phase shift, or it causes a phase shift. I keep calling it phase switch, but the proper term for it is a phase shift. Let's see, his back weak attack, he jumps forward, he puts himself airborne, and he throws out a series of saw blades. Depending on what he's attacking, he'll be able to eliminate some projectiles with this. Keep in mind that this is similar to, if you've been watching my previous videos, this one is similar to Sceptile's forward weak attack, where it's a straight shot. Okay, it's a straight shot, and if your opponent strafes back and forth, they'll be able to easily avoid it. So you want to make sure that your opponent is kind of in the middle of something or throwing something head on to you, so that you can actually hit them with these saw blades, if that is something that you're trying to do. More often than not, like, he has much better moves that he can use to hit his opponent than using his backward Y attack. Case in point is that's the short press version of the move. The long press version of the move is much better. This one causes an instant phase shift. It does 100 damage. It puts him in the air. He jumps backwards, so he may evade something if his opponent tries to put something out on him at point blank. And this helps for, like I said, this helps for zoning. This helps for a very specific opponent. This can help for Darkrai in some cases if he's up close against Darkrai and Darkrai wants to put out some traps on Scizor. Scizor might be able to use this move and just totally hit him with it, or Gardevoir. It depends, but it's generally a good move provided you're not getting hit on your landing. Like if you miss with it, yeah, he's pretty open. He's pretty open to whatever kind of punishment your opponent wants to try and hit him with. Let's see, his jumping weak attacks, he throws out another saw blade. This one will it homes in depending on where the opponent is. So if they're on the ground, it'll aim toward the ground, and if they're in the air, it will go toward the air. Let's see, what we can do is we can make her, oh, not that, we can make her air dash, and then input relay. There we go. Yep, so if they're airborne long enough, then he'll throw the saw blade. That's the long press version. I'm trying to get the short press version of it. If they're in the air long enough, he'll throw the saw blade toward the air. Okay. The long press version of it is just a stronger version of it. I think that the long press version travels at a slower speed, but once it hits them and knocks them into the air, like I said, it usually keeps them in the air long enough for you to be able to close the gap and use a pursuit attack. Sometimes you won't, sometimes you will, but it does cause a knockdown. If it hits, and it also goes through many projectiles as well. Let's see, is that it for all of his? As I believe, forward, back, side. Yeah, that's it for all of his weak attacks. His strong attack is just his pursuit attack. His pursuit attack is a 2-hit. It's a 2-input, 3-hit pursuit attack. That's what it looks like. If you do it on shield, looks like this. If you charge it, as usual, it will cause a shield break on your opponent. That's what it looks like in both cases. The other deal with Scizor. Let's see. I can talk about that well, I'll talk about it as I go. His jumping strong attack. His jumping strong attack is a kick. Okay, if you tap the button, what he does is he kicks his opponent and then does a dive kick. Okay, well, he does this aerial kick and then a dive kick into his opponent. If his opponent was in the air, he would be able to anti-air them, like so. He'd be able to anti-air them. He'll get a bounce. He'll make them bounce, and if he does this in field, it will cause a phase shift into duel. Okay. What he can do with this is he can cancel after the first kick. Okay. So that means this. So if you cancel, if you press the R button after jumping, he goes into a hover, and he will, slowly, glide to the ground on his own. You don't have to do anything. If you tap it and then hover and then tap the R button again, he'll cancel his hover. You can also move around while hovering. You can do any of Scizor's aerial attacks out of the hover. The big thing though is that after, specifically with the strong attack, is that you're able to cancel the strong attack into hover and continuously cancel it into, the hover again until Scizor eventually touches down on the ground. So what you could do is you could play basketball with your opponent, if that was something that you wanted to do. You only get about 3 kicks. You only get 3 kicks before the third kick knocks them away, and then you're forced to do something else to them. Let's see. You can also cancel that into, well, I'll talk about that in a second. But the hover canceling is very important for his juggles in dual phase. All right, we can stop her from jumping. I'm kind of getting tired of seeing her jump. But it's the hover is more so important for dual phase than it is for field phase. But it will help you avoid some projectiles. What will also help you? Yep, that's it for that. That is it for his strong attacks. Okay, so he just has the pursuit attack, and he has his aerial, his 2-hitter. Okay, you can also do this very low to the ground, or like you can jump over your opponent, and maybe cross them up with the kick. So if you ran to them and then jump over them, you might be able to kick him in the head, kick him in the back of the head, and then do something like that. Let's see. Next is his special attacks. Special attacks. A lot of his special attacks are his VGC, his video game championship moves. So his standing special attack is Swords Dance. Swords Dance has 2 input. He can stack Swords Dance twice. Unfortunately, he does not get an attack boost of any kind in this game, but it's a nice little effect to see. But you can stack it twice if you like. If you double tap Swords Dance back to back, he will fire out the swords as an attack. You can also stack one sword and then stack the second one as an attack. You can continue to press Swords Dance even after you have a double stack up. You just won't get any additional swords, but that will allow you to keep using an attack. But keep in mind that if you use the follow-up, you will lose a stack. Even if you had them maxed before, using the follow-up will get rid of a stack, and you'll have to, redo another Swords Dance in order to pack a second stack if you like. What this can do is, Swords Dance leads into all of his other stuff. So I'll keep moving. His forward special attack is, I think, Metal Claw. All right, this is Metal Claw. This is what it looks like. It's a very flashy move. It causes a phase shift. Okay, and it does it just looks really nice. His back special attack is U-turn. U-turn is his command counter. It won't do anything. It won't do anything far away. But up close is when it'll actually, do something that will also cause a phase shift on your opponent. His jumping special attack is Aerial Ace. Okay, with Aerial Ace, the first hit does not stagger your opponent. The second hit, the first hit does not stagger, but it does cause damage. Yeah, it doesn't stagger, but it does cause damage. So keep that in mind. What this is good for is if your opponent fires off projectiles. Let's go to command input. And if your opponent fires projectiles, you will be able to jump over those projectiles and hit them with Aerial Ace before, you know, before they can hit you with something, you know. You know, sometimes you may need to hover a little bit to make your way over to them, depending on what it is that they're doing, or depending on how far away you are from them. But more often than not, this will let you jump over whatever the initial projectile is and attack your opponent. We are going to go back to stand still. I think that's everything, yeah? U-turn, Metal Claw, Aerial Ace, and then you have Swords Dance. Yep. If you hold down the special attack button, he will flash. When you release it, it goes into, this is Bug Bite. Okay, it's a slower attack. It's good. You know, you can use it to catch an opponent off guard because of the little spin around that he does. What Bug Bite does is Bug Bite. Does this take synergy? I think it also absorbs some synergy. But what this does is it absorbs health from your opponent. So if you had a recoverable HP on Scizor and you hit an opponent with Bug Bite, you'll be able to get back some HP. It also absorbs synergy from them. And if they have any buffs, Scizor will steal those buffs for himself. So you know, if Braixen had for example. If Braixen happened to have an attack buff up and Scizor used Bug Bite, and he can use Bug Bite on his opponent and steal that buff for himself. And I think that the buffs stolen buffs last longer on Scizor than they did on the original character. It's like in Braixen's case, her buff lasts 4 seconds. For Scizor, I think Scizor's it lasts for like 8 seconds. I might be totally wrong, but I do believe it lasts longer for Scizor than it would for Braixen because Scizor stole the buff. Let's see. We're gonna go back to stand still now. Swords Dance. All of Scizor's special attacks have Swords Dance follow-ups. Okay, so for Swords Dance, regular follow-up is just the two-pronged attack that he shoots out. That's the general Swords Dance follow-up. If he uses it out of Metal Claw, if he uses Metal Claw and then taps the special attack button again while a Swords Dance is up, he will fire off a second attack, and I was too far for that to do anything. But the second attack will cause a phase shift. It's like this horizontal sword cyclone, you know, that he fires out. Okay, in dual phase it's more useful because it'll stun your opponent long enough for you to be able to get close to them and do something. His back one is U-turn. If you do U-turn, this is what it looks like. If you do it next to if you do it with the Swords Dance follow-up, he has like a downswing that he does. So if you do it on your opponent, you'll be able to hit them with the downswing. This could also help in the event that you missed with the initial U-turn, but they're still coming your way. You can use that follow-up to maybe hit them with the downswing. His other one is Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace, if you use Aerial Ace, like I said, the first hit doesn't stagger, the second hit will. But if you do the follow-up, let me see, I do the follow-up when you're away. If you do the follow-up, he kind of spins like a little pinwheel. Not a little pinwheel, it's a large pinwheel, but he'll do this spin attack. Okay, so if you hit your opponent with it, it'll look like that. Like I said, a lot of his attacks are much better in dual phase, and I will, you know, demonstrate why. But I do believe that is everything for field phase. Let's see, I covered all of the attacks. I covered the charge. I covered Bug Bite. I covered his dashes. And I covered his hover, but everything's a lot better in dual phase. Okay, in dual phase, he has that's right. I should also show his mobility. This is his mobility in field phase with his dashes, and in dual phase, he can move back and forth if you like. Just do this and freak your opponent out. Like I said, when he does this, he can also do his hover dash. He can also do his forward hover dash in dual. And he can just do this forever. Against specific opponents, for example, against Braixen, Braixen's projectiles are all very weak, so Scizor can actually hover dash through all of Braixen's attacks. We'll do that. Alright. And some of that. And Scizor can actually just hold this button down. If your Braixen opponent was very spammy, you can just hover dash into her, and there's nothing she can do. But what you really want to do is you really want to just get in there and get the attack going and continue to fight. Okay. But back to duel phase. This is his duck. Okay, he will be able to duck certain attacks with this. His high stance avoids mid projectiles, or I think it auto counters mid projectiles. So in Braixen's case, Braixen has Braixen's side beam attack. Her regular side beam attack is a mid projectile. Okay, Scizor's high stance will be able to avoid this. There are many other characters that have mid projectiles, and Scizor will be able to high stance that. So at least for this case, Scizor doesn't have to worry about anything if Braixen is far away from him. And I think Braixen's other attacks, she gives enough warning, as to what kind of attack it is that you can act accordingly in order to avoid it or counter attack on that, whatever you so choose. Let's see. His weak attacks are, I'll talk about his drawbacks with his weak attacks. But first, his weak attack is this. He smacks him with his claw. Okay, it's a 2-hit attack. Okay, you got 1, 2, and you'll be able to chain this into any of his special attacks. Well, yeah, you can chain that into his Metal Claw, or into his U-turn, or his other special attacks, which I'll get into in a second. But this is what it is. It's a 2-hit attack. His forward weak attack is what is this? He kind of squishes him with his claws, so he smacks him like that. There are 2 versions of this. There is the forward weak into weak, and he does kind of haymaker punch onto them and knocks them very far away, and he gets a knockdown on them. And the second version is the forward weak into strong. The forward weak into strong will launch them into the air and will allow you to juggle them, however you so wish. To note is the launcher. The launcher will crush counter. So if your opponent blocked the first hit and then tried to counter the second hit will crush counters. It will destroy that counter. His low stance weak attack is another claw attack. I think this is let's see. I think this is a frame 1 attack, or at least he goes into low stance at frame 1, I believe. But with this, you can chain this into his other attacks. That's what it's good for. It's a quick attack. It's a very quick attack, so you'll be able to maybe catch your opponent off guard. His high stance weak attack, let's see, it is an anti-air, and I think it also, does it cover lows? It might be a high mid. Nope, it also stops, it also hits them if they try to duck. Okay, let's see, it's it'll hit high and it will also hit low. So it will attack your opponents if they try to duck. It's very good for, preventing people from flying in on them from above. I think its only blind spot is like directly above him. So if they manage to get like directly above Scizor and then hit him with like a dive attack, or a drop kick, then yeah, it'll hit him. But the odds of that happening, are kind of small considering just the wingspan of the attack. Let's see. His back weak attack is a Spartan kick. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to standstill. His back weak attack is a Spartan kick. It knocks him back a little bit. That's it. It's a high attack, so your opponent can duck it. If they think it's coming, they can duck it and they can, you know, punish accordingly. Okay. But you know, it's very good for you know, you get your opponent, you knock him into. Is he gonna be close enough? He's not close enough. But how about this? That, and then you go into a phase shift, and then you kick him. You kick him and then you back up, just to freak him out a little bit. You know, I enjoy using that move a lot. Let's see. Next we have, let's see, high, low, back, forward, standing. His jumping one. He oh, that's right. He also has some out of his hover dash, but his jumping weak attack. No, I'll talk about the hover dash one. The hover dash is easier. His hover dash. If he goes into a hover dash and then he presses the weak attack, he does a flurry of punches. Okay. It's also the same if he jumps. Okay. If he jumps and then presses the weak attack button, he does a flurry of punches. He's able to chain. Oops, excuse me. He's able to chain these flurries of punches into his special attacks. If he does it at a hover dash, he's able to chain them into his other attacks. Okay. This is also what you use to continue your combos after you have stunned them with Swords Dance enhanced attacks. Okay, and I'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit later. But this is what it looks like out of hover dash, and like I said, you can chain that into your special attacks. This is what it looks like in the air, and if you connect it in the air, I would try to. It's much easier if your opponent is actually in the air. You can use this as a jump in. It's not the easiest thing to hit as a jump in, but it's very good if you manage to hit somebody, you know, and they were in the air. You know, then that's how you're able to, you know, do your hover dash, do your hover cancels, and go into your special attacks from there. Let's see. That's it for his weak attacks. I'll talk about the. Well, I'll do another demonstration. Is that what you're going to be doing with Scizor in dual phase? Is that at least if you manage to get your opponent in the air, I should talk about it. I'm not finished. Is that after you hit them with the first hit, there are two. Let's see. You can hit them with the flurry. You can hit them with the flurry punch. If you spam the button, he'll do a single punch into a second punch. Let me do this much easier. Jump, jump, jump. Okay. Now, if you spam the button, he'll do 2 punches into his jumping kick. Okay? So this should be what? Done. Okay. If you spam it, he'll do 2. Let's see, who has a... She has an air dash. So she should be able to do that. Okay. Maybe that'll work. Okay, that'll work. If you spam the button, he will go into a 1-2 punch and then into his kick. Okay, so that's the 1-2 punch. If you keep spamming the button, well, yeah, if you keep spamming the button, he'll go into aerial ace automatically. Okay, let's do it again. But you can also chain this into his kick, his aerial strong attack. So you can do 1-2, and then after the second hit, you can go into his aerial strong attack. And if you want, you can ground them. Okay, or you can cancel the first hit of the aerial strong attack to go into the hover and connect it with another set of punches, another set of aerial weak attacks, or another set of aerial strong attacks, or you can go into his special attack, you know, as a finisher if you like. So you can do not that, but you can do this and then cancel it, and then go into another kick. I'll just demonstrate it for myself without talking. You can go into you know, more punches, or you can go into more kicks, or you can go into just straight up aerial ace. Depending on how close you are to the ground, you may not be able to get the second hit of aerial ace. Okay, but this is where a lot of Scizor's high damage is going to be coming from. Is from with punishing. You know, his super strong stuff he gets by, you know, punishing a missed attack, or if your opponent was too far to hit you, or if your opponent was you know, in the air and you used, you know, a certain attack, you'd be able to catch them in the air and then go into his aerial strings like that. And I will talk about that in a second. But for now, that's it for his weak attacks. I think you get the general idea of what you can do with these weak attacks in the air. For his strong attacks, his standing strong attack is like a ground pound. It's a punch. This is a whiff punish. I don't usually see many people that really, you know, use this move, unless your opponent was you know, too far to grab you and you hit them with this. What you do is he punches into the ground, knocks him into the air. Scizor can do follow-ups. If you press the button after you initially hit them, he'll automatically jump toward his opponent. Okay, in this case he doesn't have much to travel, but you press the button, launch them, and then press the button again, and he'll launch himself into the air, which will then allow you to go into his aerial strings if you like. Okay, and like I said, you can go into his punches, or you can go into his kicks, or you can go into his special attacks if you like. Okay, but it's a juggle launcher. It's mainly used as a whiff punish, but it is a juggle launcher. His forward strong attack is a slide attack. Okay, it's got two parts to it. The first one is a slide, puts him into a low profile, lets him avoid you know, stuff that he would normally be able to avoid by ducking. That's what the slide will let him do. It lets him get underneath stuff like that. The first hit is a slide. The second one is an uppercut. The uppercut, once again, the uppercut puts him into the air. If you just do the uppercut and don't press anything, he'll land on his own. What you need to do is you need to press the R button in order to go into his hover. Yeah. So you need to press the R button to put him into his hover. And I'm not timing the hover properly. There you go. Once you go into the hover, then that will let you once again go into his aerial attacks, which I just dropped. But you'll be able to go into his aerial attacks, you know, and so on and so forth, like I've demonstrated before. Let's see. Does he have a back one? Yes. His back weak attack, it's it reminds me of like a Mega Buster, like Mega Man's Mega Buster. There are two versions of this. There's the short press version of it, which is kind of like it's like a get off me. So if like he's on the corner, maybe you can hit your opponent with this and get them off of you very quickly. The charged version of it will crush counters. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Well, no, not that one. Let's do this. That's one and that's two. Go back to the replay. Not that. That's what it looks like when it crushes counters. Okay. You can also cancel this by pressing R and going into a dash. So before it comes out, you can cancel it and dash forward, or you can cancel it and dash backward. What you can do with it is if you get your opponent on a knockdown, not that. If you happen to get your opponent on a knockdown, you can charge that, and you might be able to cancel it as they get up and try to go in for a grab, provided they don't, you know, jump it. You can jump it and avoid it. Let's see. His high stance. Yep, gotta cover the slide, cover this buster. Oh, but this move is like, it's string shot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this move is string shot. Because he also has this in his grab attacks as well. So this is his dual phase grab, and he uses string shot to pull his opponent toward him. And in field phase, he also uses string shot to hold his opponent in place, so he can knock them away. So I'm pretty sure that his back strong attack is String Shot. Let's see, his high strong attack is a spin kick. It's a spin kick, it puts him in the air. He can move forward and backward when he does it, okay, in dual phase. This will crush grabs. What you can do with this is that if you get the critical hit, with it, he will launch him into the air, and that will allow you to chain it into your slide, which will then allow you to chain that into the uppercut and into all of his aerial, his aerial combat stuff. Let's see. Is that everything? That's high. That's low. No. There's also his low strong attack. His low strong attack is strictly to crush grabs. He moves forward a little bit when he does it. You can also stick your opponents on the wall. I wouldn't say it's strictly to crush grabs, because you can also stick your opponents on the wall. I think from here. Yeah, you can also stick your opponents onto the wall from that distance with the attack, and that will allow you to go into wall combos that Scizor has. Let's see, but I think that's it. Yeah, his aerial strong attack, as I showed before, his aerial strong attack is the kick, and like I said, you can if you just tap the button, he'll go into the jump kick and then the the downward kick, or you can cancel it into his hover and continue to beat your opponent up over the head with your kicks that way. Next is his special attacks. As I said, his charged special attack is Bug Bite, and we've seen what that does. His special attacks are primarily centered around his Swords Dance. If you double tap the button, he sends out he actually sends out shots from both directions. In the event that he was crossed up, he'll still send out another shot behind him. But that's what it looks like. It also eats quite a few projectiles. Let's see, his high special attack is, he doesn't have one. Right. He does not. Yeah, he doesn't have one. So his back special is U-turn. His forward special is Metal Claw. His standing special is Swords Dance. Like I said, you can stack it twice. You can do follow-ups out of that. So this is the follow-up out of Swords Dance. This is the follow-up out of Metal Claw. This is the follow-up out of U-turn. His down special, okay, his down special is Bullet Punch. Okay, and Bullet Punch looks like this. There are 3 distances that you can do it. This is the 2A. So 2A has a mid-range to it. That's what it looks like. He also has 1A, which is closer to him. Okay, this is like right in your face. If they're like right in your face, you can use that. And then the other one is 3A, which is what you can use at a distance. I think you can also use this to get rid of some projectiles. Or if your opponent was sitting, far away from you trying to pot shot, you might be able to get a little close to them and then throw out, not there. There you go. You can throw out Bullet Punch from there. Now, Bullet Punch has a couple of follow-ups. If you do Bullet Punch and then a strong attack, he goes into X Scizor. I believe there is I would call it a sweet spot on X Scizor that you can hit. You need to press you can press the special attack button or the strong attack button or the weak attack button in order to get the sweet spot. But what you want to do is you want to do Bullet Punch, X follow up, and then right when he closes his pair of scissors, you want to press the button again. And when you do that, you'll get a special effect that you'll be able to hear. The screen will change, the effect will change, and he'll knock his opponent further back. Okay, so this is what it looks like just regular. This is what it looks like when you hit the sweet spot on it. Nope, not that. There you go. That's what it looks like that's what it sounds like when you hit the sweet spot on it. The other follow-up that he can do out of Bullet Punch is by pressing the special attack button again, and he will go into, let's see. Oh no, not the special attack button, but you need to press the grab input. If you press the grab input, which is this, which is the weak attack button and the jump attack button, where the jump button and weak attack button the grab attack. If you press that after Bullet Punch, he'll go into Bug Bite automatically. Okay, I should say that you can also cancel Bug Bite by pressing the R button. So you can, let's see. So you can do that and go, cancel away from your opponent, or you can cancel it towards your opponent, and you can maybe use that to fake out, or if you second guess, your grab, on your opponent. The third follow-up that you can do out of Bullet Punch, you need to have a Swords Dance. I think that this is Razor Wind. So it looks like this. So this Bullet Punch. Then I think that's Razor Wind. I forget if Scyther learns Razor Wind like in the first generation or something. But this is what it looks like when it hits. Bullet Punch, press the special button follow-up, and he will launch them into the air. This is the second attack that if you press the special button after they are launched, Scizor will fly towards them. So like I said, the first one is with his standing strong attack. You press the button again and he'll automatically jump toward them. For this one, same thing. Just press the button again and Scizor will automatically fly towards them. It works from every position. So if you do it from a mid range, he'll fly towards them. And if you do it from a long range, Scizor will also fly towards them and allow you to, do your combos. So, not that. So you can launch them. Oh, not that. And what was it? Razor. You can launch them and go into, your aerial combos. And this is all, like I said, you're going to get the most out of this when you learn to punish mistakes that your opponents make. If you're able to do that, you're going to decimate your opponents. Okay? If you don't learn how to do that, you're going to have a much harder time with Scizor. Primarily because, I'll talk about the huge drawback with Scizor, is that you can jump out of, I think, all of his regular strings. Like, I think all of them. After the first hit. So, we're gonna put on reaction. We're gonna put jump. So, in general, after all of his melee attacks, I think you can jump out. Well, provided you don't hit them, right? Like if you do it on shield, they can jump out of all of it, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Okay. Let's see. They can jump out of his standing weak attacks. They can jump out of his forward weak attacks. They can jump out of both versions of his forward weak attacks. Okay, all of them. What else? Does he have any strong attacks? He doesn't have any strong attack combos, but any of your usual starters, you're not gonna see that happen. So what you're probably gonna see a lot of Scizors do is they may chain their weak attacks into Bullet Punch. Like if they're up close and personal with you, they're probably going to chain that stuff into Bullet Punch. Or you may see them use 2Y because 2Y is such a fast move. They're going to do 2Y and then maybe they'll block, or they'll do 2Y into Bullet Punch, or do 2Y into whatever else. But they're going to do something very quickly because using your not 5, I would call it 5Y, but using your standing weak attack is kind of a fool's errand. They can jump out of this. They can counter the follow-up hits. It just makes for a bad time, which is why you should learn as a Scizor player. You should learn to find the gaps in your opponent's moves and punish those accordingly, because that's where you're going to get your mileage as Scizor out of. Not trying to constantly push the offensive with your physicals like that. You want to be able to use your dashes, and you really want to be able to use your Swords Dance follow-ups in order to gain the advantage on your opponent. And honestly, when you see your opponent doing this all the time, when they're doing this and they're canceling and doing all that and hovering around, that will freak a lot of people out. A lot of people won't be able to handle it. A lot of people don't understand that when the Scizor does this hover dash, because this will catch a lot of people off guard that use projectiles if they're not immediately ready for it. He has to commit to this. he can't just stop and block. You know, practically, in a practical situation, he's not going to stop and block. He has to either do it and jump over, or do it and counter, or do it and follow up with an attack or something. Okay. And a lot of people, you know, they don't get that because they see him flying at them and he just blew right through their projectiles and they freak out. Alright, so you give me 1 second. Alright, now this is, I think, the last thing that I will show you guys. Anything that I missed, I'll just end up showing it or touching on it when I do the ranked videos. This is Scizor's Synergy Burst form. It's Mega Scizor from generation, I think 6, and I forget if he was in 7, but I know generation 6. His attacks don't really change. They just, you know, they get stronger. He moves faster. He also, his defense gets boosted a little bit. I'm just going to show you the burst attack, and then I will let you guys go. His burst attack is an uppercut. Okay. So if your opponent is, for example, if Scizor is here, if your opponent is about here and they jump, Scizor's probably going to miss them. Okay, but if they're like at that distance and they jump, so let's test it out. It's an uppercut, so oh, I already used it. Okay, so from this distance, Scizor is going to miss them. Okay, if they're about this close to them and they're jumping, or if they're in the air at all, Scizor is going to miss them. But if they're at probably this distance and Scizor uses it, whoop, he'll be able to hit him with it. Alright, so that's his damage. In dual phase, the same kind of deal. I guess in dual phase you can see its arc much better. But yeah, it's an uppercut. So you got to make sure that you're probably around this distance, about a mid distance from your opponent. You don't want to use this when your opponent's up close, and definitely not if they're up close and in the air. Otherwise, you're definitely gonna undershoot them, and you're gonna miss it, and you're probably gonna get punished on the way down. So that's about it. That's all I have for you. Let's go back to normal. Alright, that's it. That's the Scizor guide. I'll probably cut a lot of stuff out to keep it under an hour. And in future videos, I will go online, but I'll do that once my voice audio is fixed, so I guess you guys can hear me a little bit better. If you guys enjoyed, please do like the video, leave me any comments. I'm also working on, I guess, Krogunk as well, since I've been asked about that. But you know, I'll take any other suggestions that you all have in mind. I hope this helps you guys learn the character better, and hope you guys get out there and give him a spin. So you guys take care and have a good day.